Hey there you guys, welcome back. Today we are going to do a little transplanting. Well, not really transplanting. I'm just going to pot it up. This little Tolumnia. If you don't know what Tolumnia is, well, it's an orchid, and it's adorable. I don't know, it likes moderate to higher light. It likes to be on the drier side. Many people kill these with overcare, overwatering. And I'll try to post some photos of flowers of Tolumnia. My Tolumnia have not bloomed. For me, they produce spikes, but then the spikes blast because I don't water enough. I look after them and look after them and look after them, but they dry out. What this one was on, it was mounted on a little piece of wood, and this is like a little cedar shake shingle or something. And this one was Tolumnia Jarrick Flyer? Corina? I don't even know. So anyway, I can't even remember what color this was. It's been growing really, really well. I usually have these things hanging up. Just my grow lights have little like a lattice or a metal grate, and I just hook it on there so it grows really, really close to the light. So it gets a lot of light. And it dries out really, really fast. So, for most people, this needs to be planted in more like a solid bark mix or that leca bead, that hydroponic bead, something that has a lot of airflow and dries out very quickly because these guys are very susceptible to rot. So, knowing that, I'm going to go completely opposite because my watering habit is much more forgetful and neglectful than other people's. So I know my conditions. So I am going to plant it in a clay pot. This is a no-no to a lot of people. People say, oh, you're going to kill it if you're going to put it in a clay pot. Well, I just want it to flower. I don't want the buds to blast because they dry out too much. The plant itself is growing just fine, but I want some flowers sometime. So I'm going to actually use a clay pot, and I'm going to use some damp sphagnum moss, and I'm going to pack it into here, and hopefully with it being a clay pot and that there's good airflow, it's an orchid clay pot, so hopefully it will dry out fairly quickly. And yeah, I water maybe on a weekly basis, but my air is quite dry. But if it's still damp, I won't water it. So just pay attention to your plants, and they reward you. Again, most times when you kill plants, it's from too much love, too much water, and usually if you're a little bit neglectful, they kind of look a little sad sometimes, but they perk back up with some water. So usually it's harder to kill something with underwatering. Overwatering is the bigger killer. So anyway, rambling on. Anyway, let's go down to this camera, and so there's the pot. This is the plant. As you can see, there's roots developing, but they're not really going anywhere because they're not in anything. And if I was growing it in a greenhouse environment, I would probably end up spraying the roots often, like just taking a hose and just going at it. And that's what I do when they go outside over the summertime, and they love it. But inside, it doesn't work the same way. I can't just spray them like that. So anyway, they're going to go in this pot, or this particular one's going to go in this pot because the board broke, as you can see. I was watering it one day and it just fell off. So let me just get some moss here. So I'm just going to fill the bottom of the pot here with some moss. I'm not going to pack it too tightly because I do want good airflow. If you pack it too tightly, it won't breathe as well, and it won't dry out as quick. So just make sure to pack it appropriately. And I'm not even going to try to remove any of this existing sphagnum moss that they had. They mounted it to the slab of wood with a little bit of sphagnum moss. So I'm just going to basically lay it on top, thusly, and I'm just going to fill in some of the gaps here with a little bit of moss. It's that easy. So with this plant, because it doesn't have much of a root system to anchor it down with, that's going to be my biggest problem. Pardon me, I'm getting some more moss. That's going to be my biggest problem. It's going to want to try to fall out of the pot. I'm going to take a couple of pieces of little bits of moss, and I'm just going to put it over where I see little roots developing. The moisture from the moss is going to help those roots develop. Right now they're in the dry air and they kind of start to develop, and then they stall and they don't develop anymore. They have little green tips, but they don't go very far. So, but you just need to be careful. You don't want to put too much moss on any growing tips because the damp moss will cause rot. So just be very, very careful what you're doing, and just a little bit of a sprig of moss isn't going to, it'll dry out very, very quickly, but at least there's going to be something that holds a little bit more moisture that will help those little baby roots develop. Let me just go in here. I've got, I keep all of my little flower stakes from all of my little Phalaenopsis orchids. This was from a mini phal, I believe. So I'm just going to plunk it down in right beside the base of the plant. I'm just going to put it down in there just so that there's a little bit of support. Let me get another one here. Do we have any smaller ones? There we go. Put two of these in, like little chopsticks. So this is going to hold it in place. Let me bring it up here. Here are the two little spikes. They're on either side of the plant, and it'll stop it from wiggling around. Anyway, I won't need to water this in for a little bit. Again, these like to be on the dry side. Got a lot of ventilation for air circulation, and so that'll dry it out very, very quickly. I can also put this in a tray, and I can water it from below, and it will wick the water up. So it'll be a little bit more moist down the bottom and a little bit more dry on the top. But I will monitor this. I will let it dry out between waterings, but keep it just right. Usually when I water these things that are in moss, I wait until they're crunchy. So I really go in and poke around, and if they're crunchy, they're ready to water. And I water them until they're good and moist, and then I just let them dry out again. Sometimes it's 3 or 4 days, sometimes it's 2 weeks, sometimes it's longer, depending on the humidity level in your room. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. It was really, really quick, but hopefully this Tolumnia will reward me with some blooms next season. This was a flower spike that I just recently created, and like I said, it blasted off. I was watering it more often, and the buds started to develop. I saw them just start to develop, and then it went a little bit too long without water, and then they blasted. So that's why I'm going to put it in a pot. I want to see how this goes. I'll show you my other one. My other one is still on the mount, and it looks good. It looks good, but same problem. They don't produce flowers. All right, so this is the other one. This one actually doesn't have as many little growths, but it has. This is a new fan that started this season. There's some new fans back in the back. They're hard to see, but this one I'll probably end up potting up into pot as well. But I just want to see how this one grows first. These ones aren't doing so bad. I was told if they're not dying, don't try to do anything different. But you know what? Sometimes you want them to flourish. You don't want them to merely survive. Anyway, until next time, you guys, show me what you're growing. If you're growing Tolumnia, I would love to see what yours look like. What are your secrets to success? Are you mounting yours as well, or do you grow them in pots? If so, what are you growing them in? There's so many different ways to grow things. As long as you know your growing style, there's always more ways to do things. So anyway, again, until next time, happy growing, everyone.